And Hillary Clinton makes it clear that she, not her husband, is Secretary of State. What made her lose her cool in the Congo? A good day, I'm Andrea Mitchell in Washington. President Obama wants Americans to know that health care overhaul will not jeopardize the coverage that millions already enjoy. And he's doing so in a state where 89% of the population is covered. Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rendell joins us now. Before we get into health care, Governor, I want to ask you about your longtime friend, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. This is what happened when she was asked, she thought about her husband. She was traveling in the Congo yesterday. Let's watch.
Wait, you want me to tell you what my husband thinks? My husband is not the Secretary.
This was in the Congo, Secretary Clinton snapping at a college student whose question was mistranslated to say, what does your husband think, instead of what does the president think?
What does Mr. Clinton think, through the mouth of Mrs. Clinton?
Wait, you want me to tell you what my husband thinks? My husband is not the Secretary of State. I am.
This is what happened when she was asked, she thought about her husband. She was traveling in the Congo yesterday. Let's watch.
Wait, you want me to tell you what my husband thinks? My husband is not the Secretary of State. I am. So you ask my opinion, I will tell you my opinion. I'm not going to be channeling my husband.
Governor, we've seen today the New York tabloids are all over this. Look at these headlines. I mean, here she is with the most favorable ratings that she's ever enjoyed in her career, just about. And, you know, the loyal team player to Barack Obama. And in one moment, she shows this kind of anger. What's the impact politically of that?
Oh, I think very short run. It's really much ado about nothing. Look, Hillary Clinton is not only expressing frustrations about being married to a very famous, maybe one of the most famous people in the world, maybe the most famous person in the world, but she's expressing some of the frustrations that women all over, even the most successful women, have as they gain and achieve. People are always looking to put them in little categories and talk about the men who are more dominant, etc. So I think she was expressing momentary irritation, but she's done a great job as Secretary of State. She's been a terrific team player, and I think this will be a little blip on the radar screens. If it wasn't for the 24-hour news cycle, nobody would have even noticed this.
I'll grant you all of that. But the problem is she is the Secretary of State. She's a diplomat. She's had to take crazy questions on this trip. I can vouch for that. At town hall meetings, one question was raised about a prior offer for Chelsea's hand in marriage with 40 cows and a goat, or 20 goats, or something like that, a dowry from a Kenyan man. But, you know, she is expected to keep her cool, despite the heat, the humidity, and bad hair days.
Well, sure, but everyone in public life is expected to keep their cool. But in the end, Andrea, and you know this because you've dealt with so many of us, we're human beings too. And we have emotions, and we try to curtail those emotions, or at least control them. But every once in a while you slip. And I think, given the job she's done and the confidence I have that she'll continue to do that great job, this won't be a big story a week from now.
Look, you know, I think all of this, we look at the Clintons through, I think, a funhouse mirror. Anything they do, anything they say is interpreted, parsed, pulled apart to take on some, well, I'm getting to that point, and I wrote a piece for our post-partisan blog yesterday that said, you go Hillary. You know, for someone, she's in a country and on a continent that where generally male supremacy rules. And so she's asked a question by someone that's translated as asking, what does your husband think of this foreign policy situation? And she looks at him and says, you know, ask me. I'm the Secretary of State. And so she's sending a message to the men and women in that room and in Africa that she will not be condescended to, and not as a woman and not as Secretary of State of the United States of America. I thought she did absolutely the right thing then, and when she found out that the translation was wrong, she went over to the questioner, shook his hand, and they had a little bit of a conversation, hearty smile. She did exactly the right thing. And so, yes, I agree with Dave. I agree that, yeah, there's sexism involved here.
We all want an America defined by deep and meaningful equality, from civil rights to labor rights, from women's rights to gay rights, from ending from ending discrimination, there are no acceptable limits, and there are no acceptable prejudices in the 21st century in our country.
We have a common task and a common challenge.
Why can't we see that we are all in this together?
18 million of you from all walks of life. Women and men, young and old, Latino and Asian, African American and Caucasian, rich, poor and middle class, gay and straight, you have stood with me. And I will continue to stand strong with you every time, every place, and every way that I can. The dreams we share are worth fighting for.